Okay, first of all, I would like to thank the organizer, the Academic Writing Center, for the invitation, and especially to Dr. Maria, my good friend in ITS. Also, all the students here, I assume all or most are students. So I can see all started your name with student and your name and also your university. Hi, everyone. You're talking to a screen. When my students did not turn on the video, I'm not sure if they are really there or not. So for this 1 minute, if you can turn on the video, that would be really nice to see the real face. Okay, I have some questions before I start. I would like to know all of you, if not all, most of you. I've received the statistics of the participants from the organizer. I can see that we have quite a number of students registered. Not sure if they are here or they will be here, but I see the most is from Indonesia. Okay, so you see down there, there is a reaction and there's the raise hand, right? Okay, I won't ask you other question, just if you are from Indonesia, can you raise hand? Click there. Or you can just do this if your video is on. If your video is off, I won't see this. So click raise hand if you are from Indonesia. Okay. All right. Indonesia, you forget where you are from. All right. Okay. Okay, you can click back, lower your hand. Now, next one, are you from the Philippines? Raise hand. Wow. Wow, this is more than Indonesia. Philippines universities are also very good partners of my university. Okay, guys. Okay, next question. You can lower your hand. Next question, are you from Malaysia? Just one? Are you from Malaysia? Please raise your hand. Okay, I should raise my hand. I'm from Malaysia. Okay, not that many. Okay, from other countries. Raise your hand, let me see. Other countries, other than those 3 countries. All right, Robert, where are you from?
Philippines, ma'am.
Oh, Philippines, already lower your hand. Situ, where are you from?
Myanmar.
Myanmar. Okay. Dr. Susan.
I usually live in the Sultanate of Oman, but
Oh.
I'm currently in the United States.
Oh, wow. Which part of United States?
Minnesota.
Wow. What time is it there?
It's just 1 in the morning.
Oh my God. I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for a year, which is very close. I've been to Minneapolis. It's
You like the weather?
Cold in the winter and very hot in the summer. Thank you for being with us today, despite it's your actually sleep time. So
it's a pleasure.
All
it's
of
so
us
nice to be
are
here.
very, very lucky to have you here because you will go to sleep later. So these students, they need to give their full concentration for these 2 hours. You have had a very good break, right? Okay. My next question, this is very important to me, why I ask all these questions, yeah? Which one are you PhD students? Can you please raise your hand? Reaction, raise hand. PhD student. Yeah. I see one, the real hand, okay. Okay, next question, Azlina, okay. Master student. Okay, I see some. Okay, undergraduate student. I have to see most of you because yes. Okay. All right. Last question. Okay. Last question. I promise this is last question for now. How many of you have written and submit a paper to a journal? Okay, have written at least a paper and submit to a journal. Not many. So I assume that most of you are here to learn, yeah? Not only to choose the right journal, but to get your paper published. This is not a writing workshop for writing a paper in journal publication because I'm given the title of choosing the right journal. But for me, when I see the list of participants and I see most of you are undergraduates, I prepared a kind of additional slides just to go through from the beginning. Before we have a paper to be published in the right journal, you have to have a paper. And why do you write a paper? Why do we need this publication? Okay, in my whole working time with Institut Teknologi Malaysia, UTM, I've been working in this university for about 30 years. I've been written papers for about 20 years doing research. I've graduated like 33 PhD students and I have around 500 papers published. And how to choose the right journal for our publication for each of the students. This is very important. And I would like to share this because not only you have to be a master student or PhD student or postgraduate student, you can also publish when you are undergraduate student in the final semester. So I have started the journey of publication to my undergraduate student also when they do their final project report in their final year. Dr. Susan, I studied in the US for all my degrees. And for my PhD, it's not a requirement to publish a paper. But in UTM, it is. I'm sure in your university, probably. So Kaido and Diname, if you don't really have a question, you can lower your hand. If you have a question later, yeah? Okay, let me share first my screen. All right, let me see. Okay, let me try to move. Can you see the slide move?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, just to make sure before I chit-chat and you don't see the slide move. All right. Okay, that is my full name, but everybody call me just Niza or Prof. Niza. As mentioned, I'm from Department of Mathematical Sciences, Faculty of Science in UTM, Institut Teknologi, Malaysia. And that is the front door of UTM. So everyone is welcome. Dr. Susan, you are all the way from the US, so you are also welcome to come to 12 hours away to Malaysia, Indonesia, and everyone in Indonesia, you are not that far away. I have the map, so this is Minnesota around that way, right, Dr. Susan? And we are here, all right? So if you go, you can come to UTM, this is Malaysia. We are way down south here. This is UTM in Johor Bahru of Johor. We have another campus in Kuala Lumpur, the capital. So like if I travel to US, I will go to Singapore just across actually 1 to 2 hours and then go straight from Singapore to New York actually like 20 hours in flight or from Kuala Lumpur stop by and go. But we used to have from Johor Bahru direct to Indonesia, the flight. But somehow, sometimes we have to go to Singapore, we have to go to Kuala Lumpur. So everyone, on behalf of UTM, you're all welcome to come and visit us physically for our campus. This is our Johor Bahru campus. So today you all visit UTM virtually, but I hope one day you can put your real foot there on our campus, about 1,000 hectares. There's the mosque in the middle, and that's all academic buildings surrounding the mosque. And this is my faculty, Faculty of Science. And tomorrow we have a convocation ceremony. So this is where it will be tomorrow. We'll be If you want to see in Facebook Live, we have that. And my office is just across that. Okay. And we have another campus in Kuala Lumpur, very close to the Twin Tower, to the Petronas Twin Tower, about 15 minutes. So this is another campus that we have, much smaller one. Okay, back to the reality. We have to know why publications are important. Why are you here, want to learn about which journal to choose? I hope not because you are forced to come, right? This is for your future. You have way ahead of yours, especially if you become a researcher or postgraduate student or a lecturer, one day a professor. All these are very important. So as I mentioned in UTM, is a thesis submission requirement. And being able to publish show that you actually know what you are doing and that you have the potential to advancing in your field. People will also recognize you. Bonus for being hired. Like in Malaysia right now, when you want to be hired as a lecturer, they will ask how many publications have you published in a journal. And also we do have PhD by publications, in which you have to publish a certain number of papers, and then for your thesis, you put your publications together, and then you submit as PhD by publication. Why else do we publish? To pass on the knowledge we have gained, to prove the novelties. If it's not novel, if it's not a review paper, the journal won't publish our work. To make our publication list look more impressive. Okay, this is for some students, they want like, I want 20, I want 30 publications in my list, to some of them. Well, actually, it's just the basic and the requirement that is the most important. To increase academic prestige, to secure further funding. In the morning, we heard about the speaker shared about applying for grants, right? And some funding will require you to publish to get a promotion. If you become a lecturer, then you become senior lecturer, you apply as an associate professor, and then professor, you need to have publication. And certain universities put certain numbers for the promotion exercise. If your research is not published in a journal, then it does not exist. This is sentences or words from somebody that I didn't put in here. This is said by someone. People won't know that it exists. If you just have your thesis and your thesis is not published anywhere, people won't know that this is actually your work. Now, this is what we're going to discuss today. What are the criteria of choosing a journal? First, you have to know your scope. Although I'm in mathematics and I'm under science, but I have seen your registration that you come from other areas, right? You come from engineering, you come from science or social science. Nabila, where are you from, which field?
My field is English literature, Prof. Nita.
Okay, in here we put under social science. You have to know the scope of the journal. So the number one is when you choose a journal, you have to go to the website and you see the scope. If I want to send my paper, mathematics paper, I send to journal in English. How can they accept? Of course, they won't accept. So the scope of a journal. The second one would be indexing. Okay, we have to know whether the journal is indexed or not. Undergraduate student, do you know what indexing means? If I ask Nabila, do you know what indexing means?
I'm not sure, Prof.
That's good. If you're not sure, that's good to mention it, because I assume not all students would know, especially if you are undergraduate student, right? Whether it's Scopus, whether it's ISI, whether it's not indexed. Okay, I will explain about this today. You want to know whether it has impact factor or not. People talk about send journal to an impact factor journal, send paper to impact factor journal. What is impact factor? I will mention about this. publication frequency. Do you want to send a paper to a journal that publish only once a year? Can you imagine the rejection rate? So you go to the website and you see the archive and you see the previous papers published. How many actually are they publishing in a year? Some journals, they publish 12 times a year, which is once every month. And every time they publish, probably 20 papers, right? So 20 times 12. So 240 a year number of papers, compared with a journal that publish only once a year, 20 papers. So what is the probability that your paper will be published within a year? So this is very important, publication frequency. You can get this information in the website of the journal. Publication history. So I mentioned about the archive. You go and see what kind of papers that this journal publish. Is it related to your research work? Is it under the scope? If there is okay, that is next about the keyword. Then some journals, they put there the rejection rate. Okay, we want to consider if they said we have 70% rejection rate. If you want to publish your paper quickly, will you choose the journal that you have to wait? Or if the rejection time is fast, it's okay, at least within few days, they will say, okay, your paper is rejected. But some journals, the time when they decide, you have to wait for a few months and then you get rejected, okay? Okay, answering or explaining, Nabila, what is an index journal? Okay, a journal can be indexed in many types of indexing. Okay, so a journal is indexed when the bibliographic and citation information is included by the citation data supplier. You know, if our paper gets cited, meaning people put our paper as the reference of their paper. When you write literature review, you will, or introduction, you will mention, right? Okay, this work has been done by, they normally use my last name, Sarmin, in 1990. So our paper got cited, okay? And for research university in Malaysia, UTM is one of the 5 research universities in Malaysia. The citation data supplier is Scopus and Web of Science. So only these two are recognized as index journal in our university. But some others, journals, they are indexed in mathematics is other indexing, and there is also my side, and social science, they also have the indexing. So it depends on the requirement of your paper or your publication. Okay, you have to know also, before I really go into how to choose it, is what is an impact factor? Okay, a journal's impact factor, or we call it IF, is an annual measure of the extent to which that articles in that journals are cited. Cited, when I mean before, is people refer to your paper. People need your result. Your result is novel and you really want to use by others because your results is strong. Maybe they want, oh, I really like this result. I can do more. I have to refer to this for my work. So they cite your paper. You want your paper to be cited. So in a given year, the impact factor of a journal is the average of citation received for that paper published in that journal during the 2 preceding years. So the impact factor of 2022 will be the number of citation in 2020 and 2021. For example, if a journal has impact factor 3, meaning in 2008, meaning the papers published in 2006 and 2007 received 3 citations each on average in 2008. So if the papers in that journal is cited by others more than that many times, that give the impact factor of the journal. And that means people really look at the papers and people refer to it. I have mentioned about the citation of acknowledging or citing the author. They have to cite and they put the references, right? The year and the title, a journal or book where you publish your work. And how much is your article really worth? If this particular paper, I didn't manage to check the highest citation of my paper. My work is really in pure mathematics. I don't get so many citations because the only mathematician that can read my paper is the one really in that area. So it's really different. But sometimes if you do something in the medical field or some others, they probably get cited more, especially if you do something with COVID, right? Then people are looking for it, people are citing it, people see the results, the data, then the impact factor will be added more. I didn't say if the journal has low impact factor, then it's not good. In mathematics, the highest impact factor is like probably 3 if it's pure mathematics, or even to a 0.3 is also good because it's people don't cite that. It's really, you really have to understand the theoretical work to cite that.
Sorry, but how about the statistics? Team of
Statistics get high citation. Statistics papers get high citation because mathematics have many fields, right? My field is pure mathematics and my other research in applied mathematics has more citation. So I have 2 areas. In statistics, yes. In other areas like numerical analysis, yes, it's much higher. Okay, you have to know this because this reflects how you choose your journal later. You know, in the structure of a manuscript, not many of you have written a paper. So I'm just gonna mention a little bit about this. You will have a title, right? You will have the author. If you have the supervisor, normally the author will be you, your supervisor. You probably have external or co-supervisor or co-author, others. And the keyword is very important. Some students, they don't think enough to put the keywords because how people want to find your paper is using the keywords. Okay, abstract, okay, introduction, materials and methods, or your results. And then you have results and discussion. Not necessarily the title is this, but you have to have conclusion. And if you have grants, if you have scholarship, then you have the acknowledgement and the references. So in the references, you will put in all the papers that you refer. If among your references is the papers from the journal that you're going to send to, the journal will probably have no reason to say it is not in the scope of this journal. Okay, I cite your journal. There's papers in your journal I use in my research, right? How can you say that my research is not in the scope of your journal? So the fact is your references, when you want to send to that particular journal, it's very recommended that you choose some of the papers in that journal to use in your references. Okay, I put this very, very briefly because I will spend more on the journals. Title is very important. I'm a reviewer or editor or for so many papers in so many journals. The number one is I would see the title. Okay, is the title really, if I got, like they send an email, can you review this paper? Then I look at the title. The title, I don't even know what's said in the title. It's not my area. I will say, I'm sorry, this is not my area of expertise. Right? So your title has to reflect actually what is actually. It has to attract the reader's attention. Don't put abbreviation, especially if it's not common. Abbreviation that is common is like DNA, right? Everybody knows. So your title is very important. And sometimes we refer to the previous paper in that journal. Then we have the idea. The authors, who should be included as authors? Who should be the corresponding author. So this depends on where you study at. Like in UTM, we encourage the supervisor to be the corresponding author. Although the author, the first author can be the student or the supervisor. Okay, so it depends. For my papers, mostly if it's for the students that do this, then I will put the student as the first author. I will put myself as the second one, but I become the corresponding author, the one that corresponding to the journal. And then the others. And all the authors should be the one that do the research together or contribute to the paper, right? And make sure the names are correct, the email, right? If your email is wrong, they want to send an email later, or somebody want to contact us after it's published. So that email and your university affiliation. So it depends on where you study. UTM students, they need to put their supervisor's name and UTM's name in the affiliation. The next thing when I review is I would like to see the abstract. Okay, it should be short and precise. This morning, the speaker shared, right, about the abstract, right? She compared, I think 5, that is introduction, okay? That is introduction, but also you can compare people's abstract. It should be short. It should be the selling point of the paper. When they read your abstract, they know exactly. When I read the abstract, I know exactly what's in the whole paper. So I say, okay, this I can review. Okay, this looks like very interesting. Yeah, the summary of the whole work. So you should put the objective, the methodology, and the significant results in the abstract. No figure, no table, no references. People used to put like reference 1, but there's no one in the abstract. And don't put so technical symbols. No, just a plain sentences in the abstract. Okay, the keywords is important because it reflects the subject matter. For the production of the paper in the journal, when the editors put, people will try and find related papers using just keyword. Okay, and some of the keywords may already present in the title or in the abstract. Normally should not be more than 5, right? No abbreviation. Introduction, as I already mentioned also in the morning, like 3 to 5 paragraphs, right? So they can understand. When I read the paper, I start the title, abstract, and look at the introduction, then conclusion, and then the references, then go back and look at the detail of the results. So it's give the perspective that they need to understand the detailed information coming later. So you read the introduction, oh, I will find this later in here. So it's like a review a little bit and up-to-date literature, not like 50 years ago. Is it really nobody has done it within these 50 years? Or you did not find the latest literature? And also your novelty, the objective, and depending on the journal, how long that it should be. Okay, so I'm gonna skip this because this has been mentioned in the morning.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I, if I am using empirical research, can I include in the introduction, talk about the empirical data?
Didn't get it. Can you repeat that?
If I'm dealing with empirical data.
Empirical data.
So can I include it in the introduction?
Introduction should be the overall of your research or paper. Yeah. The details, it depending on the section. Okay, you can have the next section mentioning about your methodology. Then you will put your empirical data and then you have your results in the next section. So it depends on, I cannot say in general for everybody. Okay, so you have to, what you have to do is do some homework, look at the papers that you refer to, how they are putting in together. Okay. So this is the some stages in the introduction. Okay, I will mention a little bit about what you asked. So the first stage is like, okay, general statement. and then specific statement, right? People want to know what is actually the field of research, what is the problem already studied, right? Literature review, what need more introduction, your problem statement, right? And then specific statement, what is actually your purpose and objective of your study? And then the optional one, values and justification. So probably not really the detail of all the data, okay? Just some statements first in the introduction. Okay, so this one I give the stages. Okay, what are missing? That is the problem statement, right? People want to know, oh, this few studies have reported this. This is very little information is done for this. So this is just some of the examples I found in some published papers. Very specific statement giving the purpose. Even though a lot of work has been done for this, very little work has been reported on this composite. So the objective of this paper is to study this. This sentence has been, I didn't cite the exact paper, but this is in one of the published paper of a researcher in our university. And then more specific statement about the objective. So 3 and 4, it depends, yeah? And this is what you mentioned, right? The materials and methods. So this is the part that is detailed for others to probably use the data or theory or experiments or method and cite your work. Okay, and you have to describe adequately what you use and the measurement also. And this is important. Okay, what have you done? The results and discussion is the most important part. And this is the critical part that the reviewer or the editor cannot say that you don't have any novelty, you don't produce any result. Okay, so this is very important. And if you have numbers of figures and tables, it has to have good quality. Otherwise, people cannot read, it's blur, it's not explained well, then you can easily get rejected. Okay, also the conclusion, very important points describing the important findings of the work. You reinforce the originality of the work you present. So in the introduction, you mention what you're going to find, and at the end, you conclude and you stress again on the originality of your work. Okay, and this should be consistent with the objective you mentioned and to highlight your achievement. And don't forget to do acknowledgement, because if you get grants or scholarship, this is very important for the report later. And sometimes the editor, the reviewer will see, oh, you already have this strong proposal, that's why you receive this grant. And this is part of the results from the grant that you receive to acknowledge. So they did read this. Or this student is a student who got scholarship from the higher ministry, right? This must be someone who is able to produce good results. So don't just take it easy, take it lightly, right? So as a human, right? This gives this kind of impression. And know your references. The undergraduate students, if you have not written any paper, if you have not seen different kind of references after this, you can see there are quite a number of references like numbering 1, 2, 3, what comes first is 1, and Harvard style or alphabetical style or mixed style. And the journals, before they give to the reviewers, sometimes they just look at the format. This is the instruction that we gave you. You don't follow instruction, reject. They don't even look at the content. Okay. Now, how many pages of a manuscript, right? Normally, students would ask this. Normally, it's more than 5, right? But I found some very short papers can be as many as 50, and their papers up to few hundreds, like a book. But normally around 5 to 20. So this is the how many pages, and it depends also in the journal, okay, in the instruction of the journal. you have to know how to send, okay, your manuscript. Some journals until now, they're still doing the traditional submission by mail, by email, yeah, as an email attachment. And most nowadays, they do it via a journal website through online submission. So if the corresponding author is your supervisor, then as a student, you write the paper and then you prepare everything for your supervisor to submit. Yes, normally supervisors, they already have their login names and passwords to so many journals. Some journals together, they use the same password. Otherwise, your supervisor, or if your supervisor said you send it yourself, then you need to have the username for this one. And read the instruction very carefully, yeah? Many of the journal, they want a cover letter, whether it's traditional or electronic, meaning is it in the just in the body of the email, or some of them, they want it to be with the university's logo and letterhead for the cover letter. Nabila, you know what a cover letter means, right? Okay, I have an example later. Okay, so it has to have a title and of the paper and the authors, and whether this is a full-length article or technical note or a review, and the fact that the paper is new and not being submitted elsewhere, right? You cannot send the same paper at the same time to more than one journal. Okay, some students, they think that they want it quick, so I send this same paper to 5 journals at the same time and see which journal accepted. Okay, this is wrong. You cannot send until you get it rejected. Okay, what happened if you send and 2 or 3 accepted? That is wrong. And I've gone through a case in which I'm the reviewer. I received the same paper from 2 different journals because it's the same area. So I had to reject both. You cannot send the same paper to different journals at the same time. And you cannot publish the same paper in 2 different journals, yeah? Okay. That is why they did the cover letter, for you to say that this is new and you don't submit elsewhere. And you mentioned why the paper is important. And so right now, journals, they want us to give suggestion for reviewers. Okay, so you have to know who are the people in your area. This is a bad example of a cover letter. Just put in the email, I have the honor to submit my paper to publication in this journal. My submitted paper is this. Please inform me when my paper is reached to you. Thank you very much for your interest in letter, with my all the best wishes to you. Okay, why? Why do you think this is not? It's a bad example. Sorry, Nabila, because you are the moderator, so I ask you the question. Nabila, are you still here? Or anyone else? Why do you think this is a bad example?
I'm so sorry, Professor. My connection is a bit
Okay.
lagging, but
Okay.
yeah.
I'm just asking, why is this a bad example of a cover letter?
All right, Professor, maybe because there's no salutation, and then too straightforward. Yeah, but of course, maybe you can explain more, Professor.
Yeah, but that is, at least dear, right? As simple as dear editor, right? And the English to submitted, all the grammar, right? So when the editor read this, I cannot imagine your paper, even if your cover letter is like this, right? So if you are not that good in English, you can get someone. ITS has writing center. If your university has writing center, or you send a proofreader, At least or your supervisor can help and double check. Yeah. So this is very important. Okay. All right. What happened after submission? So initial screening by the editor or the chief editor, they will go like this. Okay, oh, the cover letter is like this. No, reject. Or go, and then cover letter, okay, looks okay. Go look at the paper. Oh, my English. Look at this. I don't think so. You want to accept this. The second one, maybe, oh, this is okay. I will find the right editor to process. So they will pass to the editor. Longer time is okay. But if you get rejected in the first few days, like for that one, you can improve and send to another journal. But at least it's good if you get why it is rejected. Yeah. So this is the initial screening. They will look at the title. Is it appropriate? So that is why. That is actually the answer to how you should choose the journal. Okay, to see the right scope. Otherwise, they just look, oh, this is not the scope of this. We are under science. Why do you send the social science paper? Something like this. Okay. And next one is, are you in compliance with the instruction? Wow, it's already 2:44. Cannot believe this. Okay, sorry. I have to go fast. All right. And the overall quality. Okay. Okay, wait, I'm reading the chat. Quality and quantity. Okay. All right. Later, yeah. Okay, I go next. Okay. So this is what I mentioned just now. Okay, this is giving to the others. Okay, whether they decide whether to publish. Even in mathematics, the editor is probably a mathematician, but not in different fields. Like we have pure mathematics, applied mathematics, numerical analysis. So if this paper is under mathematics, and then, oh, this is pure mathematics, I should find editors who are under pure mathematics. So, and then they give you two or normally 3, okay? Sometimes 4. If give only to 2, one reject, one accept, it's hard to decide. So they normally give 3. All right, until 2 accepted. And they normally will want you to give 5. So it's not easy also for the reviewer to really comply on the time. Sometimes even for me, please give me another week. They give like 2 weeks, please give me another week. Because this is sometimes the work of a year or 6 months, right? How can you expect us to really do it? So sometimes it got delayed. All right. Okay, from review to publication, may take just very quick, 1 week to 6 months, sometimes even years. Sometimes even the student forget to ask. After 2 years, the paper is still there floating because even the reviewer forgot to give back the submission. So this is what is happening. And decision would be accept or reject or revise. Revise is also okay. You can do the revision, yeah, the correction and the proof, and you have to check the last one and then publish. All right. And what do they check? Like I have mentioned this, originality, the structure, and the language. Is it novelty? If it's a review paper, it's okay because you just check, but nobody has done this review. Still a novelty for a review paper. Okay, the structure, as I mentioned earlier. Is it clear? Does it describe the article? The abstract reflect the content? Yeah, and the introduction, does it describe what I have mentioned earlier? Do you explain the methodology? I don't even understand which method that you use. This kind of thing. And your results. I cannot even see your figure or your tables. You don't even describe your results. And then last one is the conclusion. And language is also very important. Okay, a comment from an editor. Quite harsh. This paper fell well below my threshold. I refuse to spend time trying to understand what the author is trying to say. Besides, I really want to send a message that they can't submit garbage to us and expect us to fix it. My rule of thumb is that if there are more than grammatical errors in the abstract, then I don't waste my time carefully reading the rest. Okay, a student, not my student, shared this with me I was in the graduate school before, so we had a proofreader there and we have a session. So it can be this harsh, but it's okay. You improve. Yeah, at least there is a comment. If you got rejected with no comment, that is not good. Okay, and then if you continue from previous research, don't forget to cite. This is very important. No plagiarism, no fraud. If you got it, the result from previous papers, you need to cite. Okay, and you want, if you got, oh, congratulations, your paper is accepted. Wow, this is like floating in heaven for a student to get the paper accepted. In the present form, minor or major, even major, if they didn't say decline, don't give up. Yeah, even if there are so many things you need to improve, it's accepted. So if it's not accepted, sometimes they say there is no contribution or not enough, outside the scope. And unfortunately, if you have followed all my advice, the title was there. Sometimes I refer to some papers in this journal, and still the journal said it's outside the scope, right? Or they find reason because they are backlogged. So they don't want you to wait. Sometimes they don't give any reason because they have so many and the rejection rate is very high. So don't take it too hard for rejection. And only very, very few papers are immediately accepted. And resubmit your paper. Normally you cannot say, oh, you really have to accept my paper. You cannot say this. No, once they reject one, no. Unfortunately, you cannot send to another journal. And when you respond promptly, politely, concisely, because the same person might be the editor to the different journals. Okay, maybe this journal is not suitable, but the other journal it is. So, and make sure only the corresponding author do the communication. I had a case where the student don't want to wait until the supervisor, and the student, they don't allow, and they said, unfortunately, we cannot accept your paper because you are not the corresponding author. So this is very important. Okay, Nabila, I'm moving faster a bit. A submission stage as an example. This is from my paper. When that is the reference already, they acknowledge. So make sure they acknowledge. You have a reply, so you know it is submitted. This is to acknowledge with them the receipt of your manuscript. And then you check the progress. Very important, because sometimes it's there for 3 months, still with the editor. You can write, the corresponding author can write to the editor asking, because some use the auto reminder to a reviewer. Some they forget, so reviewer forget. So at least you ask, and then normally we wait for 3 months, then you ask. And acceptance, for example, for the correction, I acknowledge receipt of your new version. I've checked it myself. You had that with all the comments. So I recommend acceptance. This is what we want to receive. So if they give you comment correction, put the list of correction and put it there that you have done all the corrected ones. Yeah. And this is the PDF file that we sign. If they want to do more correction, then sometimes they said send within 24 hours. So you really always have to check your email and after you submit the paper. Yeah, possible reason for rejection, not in the scope, or long backlog, not enough contribution, results are not novel. For example, the editors already inspected. Unfortunately, they decided to reject because it is too specialized. They want it more general. Sometimes I think that it is suitable, but at one time they said they want a general one. At one time they said it's too general. Okay, how to choose the right journal? I have mentioned this, but I want to show this again. You have a list of references, right, as students. In that references, oh, I refer to this paper, I refer to this paper, go to that journal and see what is indexed. Is it impact factor? Is it Scopus? Oh, I can also send my work here because this is in my references. And then the journal will say, okay, you refer to our journal. And based on your list of keywords, you can find the journal. I want to give some tips for the publication. For the student, you can write a review paper during your first semester. If you have a conference have proceedings, they also have some journals, and they normally will publish the papers that have been presented in the conference, right? And some conferences, they also have Scopus journal. Or you want to submit in Q1 or Q2 or Q3 or Q4. After this, you Google what does it mean by the Q. I give you Scopus and Web of Science. Some of them are really in the high impact factor. And I'm sure in your university, you have publication workshop, writing center. So get help from there. I'm sharing this from my master student. They have to have their Gantt chart. They are doing master by research for like 3-4 semesters. You're doing this. In the down part, I asked them to put the technology transfer activity. So in this semester, you had to do this, go to this, publish this, and then you have to go to this conference, then you publish more papers. So you can get at least probably 7 papers during your master's. For my PhD student, probably they have more time because they are 3 years. So I said, okay, you should go to this conference, not only for publication, right? To present your paper to meet people and others. Okay, for conference, and then for publication, then you choose whether you want to send faster to non-index or the index. And also they can go to exhibition with the papers, and then they can have this like gold medal or silver medal. And also sharing for research conference. This is one of my students who go to the UTM International Graduate Conference. This is actually open. You can follow our SPS Facebook or my Facebook. I always share to everywhere to my student that they can join this. Very cheap actually, $50 I think for international, yeah. And they have publication in some have Scopus, some has proceedings and others. So there is one, and this is national for mathematics, yeah. National Malaysia, they have publication in Scopus journal also for this one. Within 6 months. And how to identify Scopus-indexed journal, you go to this website. I will share this slide later with the organizer and also in my website right away. You can check and you can download from there. You go to the Scopus and you click on sources, and then you put title or journal's title, and you can see if the result is there, then that paper is Scopus. In UTM, you need to have 2 Scopus papers before you can send your thesis for PhD. Okay. And if you want to check whether it's Web of Science, I mentioned about PhD by publication, you need to have this with some impact factor to be able to send, or you can even finish your PhD in 5 semesters if you have certain number of journal in Web of Science. So you go to Clarivate and you type the journal name and you search journal. So if it's Web of Science index, the result will appear, yeah? And just to share some very high impact factor journals in Nature and Science, 31, the impact factor 31 has been cited for the last 3 years for this one, and 28 more to science. And I have this for physics. If you are from physics, you have to know which journal has these impact factors. You can search, and also for Scopus and others. And how to, this one just now is, this is a continuation from before, yeah, for the Web of Science Index. Okay, this is homework for you. We don't have time today. List journals in your university, all right? So I have done my homework. This is some originals in UTM. We have 3 Scopus, and we have in total 28 journals. So we have one in social science, we have in membrane science engineering, we have in mathematics, we have in Islamic, and many others. So this will help you to see if it's Scopus and it's from your university, right? And normally they won't charge a lot. And I also have list of Malaysian journals under science where I can send if it's Scopus besides others, and some famous publishers that we can sign to Cambridge or Springer or Wiley or Oxford, Xavier, Taylor and Francis. They also produce not only journals but books and PLOS. Yeah. And for this, one of our academic member has been appointed as academic editor of PLOS 1 since last year. So this is a peer-reviewed journal and non-profit and one of the largest journal in the world. And it's a Q1 journal in multidisciplinary field and also indexed in Scopus. And you can find for more, but students also with us, do I choose open access or not? Open access means people can find your paper, just search and then download, then they can cite. If not, then they have to pay to get your paper. If it's open access, they can easily download, they can easily refer, you can get high citation. But for this open access, sometimes journal asks you to pay for impact factor or WOS, sometimes up to 2,000 USD. And so there is a pro and con for this. And the very important thing is discuss with your supervisor, because article processing fee might be very expensive, but I managed to pay with some of my grants, but we had to have research grants. So with that, I thank you again to the organizer. This is my website. You can copy this now. It's https://people.utm.my and then my name. I will upload this slide in this website. This is just a photo of our campus. And this is my email. If you need to send me an email, it's my initial, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my YouTube that I have for my classes actually. And also I put all my talks that is recorded in my YouTube. With that, thank you very much. I pass back to Nabila.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Niza, for delivering amazing materials. So yeah, Prof. Niza has shared everything about publication, from some terms about publication that you need to know, as many of the participants here are from undergraduate. So maybe you are still new to this one, but I hope you find this presentation enlightening. And also for the graduate students, maybe you got more insight about the tips, about the structure, about how the editor gives comment, like Prof. Niza herself has been editor for some journals. So maybe this will be a great opportunity for you to ask questions, anything about publication to Professor Niza, as she also have published more than 500 journals. That's a really big number, especially for this who's still in zero. Don't worry, everyone. Now you can ask question to Prof. Niza. And now I see one participant raising hand, Sulaiman. Maybe you can turn on your camera and then you can ask directly to Professor Niza. Hello, Sulaiman.
Yes, I'm hearing you. First of all, thanks to the professor. Really, it was very insightful. I just want to ask her only, how can I know whether what I'm doing right now in my research, there is someone else who is doing also, and maybe he will be published before I finish. So how can I recognize that? Yeah,
that is a very, very good question. And it happened to me once when I was a PhD student. I went to a conference in UK, and there's one PhD student presenting, and one of the participants, the professor mentioned that I have seen this before. I have seen this before done by someone, and the student were not able to get that. That is why conferences is very important. And I don't have the right answer. That's why one of the reasons we need to publish, and it's very common for the different people to do the same things. It happened also to one of my students. She published one in the first part, and she tried to do the second part and somebody else have done this. And she found out, so it becomes her literature review, okay? Unfortunately, if it's already published, then you cannot publish it again. And unfortunately, sometimes you never know that people is doing it. So, Sulaiman, hopefully
Yes.
not, but
Yes.
it's good to keep in touch with the people in that area. So I normally will go to conferences. I normally, except for ITS yet, I wanted to go last time, but not yet. But I've always been to Gajah Mada and Bandung and bring my students because it's very specialized in our group theory community in the whole world. There are not that many that do this. So we sort of know everybody or the professors and then the professors will introduce to the students. So that is one of the ways to see that it has not been done by anyone else, and to publish, as at least you go to conferences, it is published in the extended abstract or proceedings quickly, right? Instead of waiting for a year or 2 years. Sulaiman, I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you, Prof, very much. I hope experts like you can find a solution for this, because it may happen, as you said.
Yeah, there is no solution.
So,
I don't think there is a solution, because sometimes people refer to other people's work at the same time from all over the world. And
thank you very
sometimes
much.
it got
Okay.
published, but different
Okay.
methods is still okay.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah,
Also,
that's the question, Nabila, about the student's
Okay,
thesis funded by the school. So only if the student has scholarship. The university did not fund unless the student get the scholarship from the university or from somewhere else.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Niza. And thank you, Sulaiman, for the question. So yeah, that it might be a challenge for everyone writing a paper that maybe someone else is doing the same. So yeah, maybe what Prof. Niza suggested is you can join conferences so that you can keep updated with your field. If it's already published or someone else doing the same, maybe you can get connected with them to share about that field, and also you can use that as reference. Maybe you can extend your research in something else. Yeah, so I hope
thank you. That's why I started now my PhD. So I was thinking about how this will happen. So that's why I asked the question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sulaiman. And now let's move to the next question. I have some notes here in the comment section from Situ Moy, who asked about quality and quantity, but maybe I would like to invite Mr. Situ to ask directly to Prof. Niza, so that maybe it would be more relevant. Hello, Situ. Sorry.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you okay.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Professor, for the insightful sharing. I really got a lot of idea to continue my study here, because I'm currently majoring in English literature. So like I have to deal with this in coming semester. So although my question is very simple and basic, this is the one and only thing that I really want to know when I start to follow read some of the article, and there's I keep seeing like quality and quantity. Like they used to say that whatever they're going to make a research of something else. So could you please explain me what is the difference and what are the properties of these things in paper writing?
Let me get it straight. You asked about quality and quantity in paper writing, right?
Yeah.
Is it the quality of paper or the quantity of paper?
I'm not sure, because if I go and read something regarding with literature, they used to say this is quantity paper or something else, but I'm sure with the spelling, they used to say that to type in paper.
I'm not really sure, really. Maybe it's a different field. Yeah. Because what I
am I
know, I
getting the
think what you
figure?
asked is about qualitative or quantitative. If that one, I know.
Yeah, maybe that one, because I'm not familiar with the
Yeah.
keyboard here.
It's
Sorry, Mama.
qualitative or quantitative. Whether you do numbers or figures, that is quantitative, or use statistics. Or qualitative is just like you ask whether this is satisfactory, not satisfactory, very satisfactory, right? That is qualitative.
So that means like if we are going to rely more on our opinion, that will become qualitative like that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for
Okay.
your
All
answer.
right.
All right, so thank you, Situ, and thank you, Professor Niza. So maybe what Situ asked is about qualitative or quantitative research. Maybe, yeah, it's a bit different because Prof. Niza is from mathematics and Situ from literature.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, yeah, in every field, actually, there's qualitative and quantitative. So yeah, maybe mostly in literature, it's qualitative research where you explore about novel or any literature, and then yeah, you explore about it. But in quantitative, maybe like you compiling reader response in your research, something like that, Situ. So thank you, Situ, and thank you, Prof. Niza, for explaining about qualitative and quantitative research. And now we have another participants raising hand, Bapak Yusef from ITS. Hello, Pak Yusef.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon, Ms. Nabila and Professor Niza.
Yeah.
I do appreciate about your good presentation for this afternoon.
Thank you.
And very, very good presentation. But I have still a question for you. What the factors must be considered in choosing an international publisher for publishing scientific journal? Because sometimes we are still confusing to choose the international publisher, regarding our journal, scientific journal. Please tell me about it. Thank you, Prof. Niza.
Okay, thank you, Bapak Yusuf, for the question. International journal, I mentioned a little bit about whether you want to publish fast or you want to publish index, right? Based on the requirement. So like I have this one PhD student, I said, before you graduate, I would want you to publish at least 2 papers in the Scopus journals. Okay, because this is needed for your graduation. So I would ask her to look at all the references in her paper and which of the journals are Scopus, and whether it really helps. It's the main journals that you use to get your results or your publication. Then it's really suitable for your paper. And then I said, before you graduate, better yet that you get at least the Web of Science and in the Q1, Q2, or Q3, Q4 at least. For your probably future, you want to apply as a lecturer or later on, which is not compulsory, but would be highly recommended. And this takes time because sometimes they take more than 6 months to get this published. So it depends on whether you want it really published as a requirement or doesn't matter, and also whether you have the money to pay for the article processing charges. There are journals which high impact factor, quick acceptance, but you need to have 5,000 USD, for example. There are journals. So I don't have one specific answer for that, but the number one rule is it is in your field, and better yet that they have published similar papers that you can refer to, and then better is their index, right? And also the processing time, depending. So it's different from students and the lecturers. Everyone want to publish fast, but in the beginning, I mentioned about the frequency of the papers in a year. So you don't want to choose the journal that only published once a year. At least 4 times a year would be nice. If 12 times a year, maybe they will accept more. I hope I answer your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Niza.
You're welcome.
I am understood that
Yeah.
you explained us. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Professor Niza, for explaining more about some factors, some considerations in choosing the publisher. So it's depending on your purpose, and maybe if you have time constraints, maybe you can consider some of points point out by Professor Niza.